What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Marcel. I'm back again with another video for you. Today we are going to do a mix breakdown of a beat, one of my beats that I mixed not too long ago, and I just want to show you some of the things that I use to get it to where it's at, and also just some of the plugins that I use to get there, as well as some different techniques and tips along the way. So I hope you like the video, and so let's go ahead and jump right in. So first we're going to start with what the beat sounds like. So I'm just going to hit play, and I'm gonna let it rock for a few seconds, and then we're going to discuss the sound and just my choices mix wise and why I did what I did. So here we go. So that's the beat. That's what it is. And there's an arrangement there, of course, and there's different elements that come in, in and out. But we'll discuss those as we move along at first. So now we want to go through that. So I'm going to jump right to the mix bus. What I have on my mix bus, what's affecting the entire sound of the mix. So there's really 3 plugins here that I'm using to get that sound, and this one is Distinct Pro by Cobb Audio. Actually, I used to use this plugin more often. I don't use this plugin as much as I used to, but it's still a good plugin. Just some things, and as an engineer, things tend to change over time. So this is one of the things that changed over time, was what I put on my mix bus while I'm mixing. But when I did mix this beat, it got me to where I wanted it, and I'm still not mad at it when I hit play. So just a couple of things that I'm doing here I want to point your attention to. First one is here. I'm actually doing a little bit of saturation on the overall mix, just a little bit of saturation on there, and I think it's at about 31, somewhere around 31%, I believe. Yeah, around 31. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing on the saturation on this plugin, and a little bit of drive as well, just a little bit, about 42%. And so I'm doing that on the. Actually, I'm doing a little bit more. So I'm actually doing a little bit of EQ as well here on the high frequencies, and I'm actually doing some on the mid frequencies as well. I think it seemed a little pokey to me, so I just kind of took it back to tame it a little bit. And here, for the distortion type, I went through all of these, and traditionally us as humans were more drawn to the even harmonics is more pleasing to our ears. But for this track, when I was auditioning, I tend to like the the digital sound more, surprisingly. I tend to like that a little bit more. And so on here, and I believe this is doing a little bit of compression. Let's go to where some drums are in. Okay, no compression. But I am doing some transient designing, because I can actually take away some. Here I could actually pretty much push back whatever's popping through, but I wanted to preserve those transients and kind of accentuate them just a little bit on the overall track. And another thing, I thought I was doing some compression before, because I think when I last opened this, just to give it a listen, I didn't like what it was doing, so I actually took the compression off. And I tend to like this track without this type of compression on it. And Cav Audio, if you know whoever uses Cav Audio, they make quality stuff. I will say that about them. They make good stuff, and is reasonably priced. So that's that. And the next one I have in a chain. So that's first in a chain, Distinct Pro. Second one in the chain is the BX Enhancer by Brainworks. And on here, just a little bit of biasing on here, just kind of sculpting the sound. I believe that is taking some of the high end off. Oh, actually added, okay. So to the left, I'm adding high end. To the right, I'm removing high end. So I added a little bit of high end there. The mono maker setting here, I put it at 80 Hertz. Anything from 80 Hertz and down is a complete mono. And for those who have downloaded my free ebook, the audio devotional, you know that I go over this in that ebook. And if you haven't downloaded it yet, go ahead. The link is in the description below. You can go ahead and click, I believe you just have to enter your name, your email address, and that's it. You go, it'll send you to another page, and then you can go and download the ebook there. And I believe it's a 20-day audio devotional if you want to go and get that. And just my gift to everybody, just saying thanks for the support and my way of bringing value to you. And so yeah, again, the link is in the description. So here, this is, I put at 80 Hertz. 80 Hertz is a good frequency for monoing out your mix there. And I believe I'm not doing any compression. Actually, I took some mids out here. Just a little bit of mids out here, did a little bit more sculpting here, add a little bit of excitement here, and I chose A. Honestly, I didn't really cycle. I don't believe I cycled through these. I just kind of went with the default setting, and I liked what I heard, so I just kept it the same. And you know, sometimes mixing is that simple. Sometimes you don't have to go through all this rigmarole to get the sound you're looking for. Sometimes it just lands in your lap, and in this case, it landed in my lap, and I just went with it. So that's pretty much what I did for this plugin, the enhancer. And this is another plugin I haven't used in a while, but it's really good. It is an invisible limiter, transparent limiter by AOM. And I'm just using this to bring up just to bring up everything, just to get it to a good level. And that's really all I'm doing with it. I'm barely tapping it. I'm probably doing a a dB, maybe not even a dB. So that's pretty much what I'm doing with this. And of course I did the oversampling just to so it's more accurate and it's limiting. But that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not really doing much, just lightly tapping it, just lightly. And I think that is, I believe that's it, what I'm doing on the mix bus. So that's the mix bus. And if you're in, for those who are wondering, like, oh, there's another plugin, I just use this here for level monitoring. That's the only thing I do. I use that just to monitor the loudness, and I set my targets and make sure I hit them just so it's industry standard. If I'm not sending this to a mastering engineer, usually, especially more so with beats, generally don't go to at least my experience, they generally don't go to a mastering engineer. I usually try to get the beats, my beats or a client's beat, that I'll make sure I get it to industry standard levels. So that's all that plugin is doing, just more so monitoring the loudness of the track. And so it's just a utility plugin. All right, so now we got that. Let's start with the drums. And these are what my drums are doing. So this is the drums, and let's go to the sub if I'm doing, okay. So do I have any sends? I don't believe I have any effects. Okay, so let's start with the plugins, then I'll go to the sends, which is routing to the effects. So more of Distinct Pro. Just more of that there. And I did a little bit more of the transient control because I know the limiting was going to take some of the transients away. So I wanted to just give it a little bit more transient designing, because I know I don't want to, generally I don't put anything at the end of my chain. Once it hits the limiter, that's it. There's really nothing else affecting the audio. Although there are some mastering engineers where they actually do like a small dB boost down, I think around 20 hertz, that it makes a difference. I forget the name of it's a female mastering engineer. Maybe you guys know her name, or maybe have saw the tutorial that she did. But I found it very intriguing because I believe she's the only one who I know of who does that. But she knows what she's doing. She's one of the top mastering engineers for that, for what she does. And here I went with, I think this is the default, because I'm not actually adding any saturation, no distortion, no type of EQ anywhere, and no compression. It may be doing just a little bit of distortion, not really, because this is lighting up, and this is on 0, the default, but it may be doing a little bit of something. So that's that for that plugin. And I have my trusty go-to, K-Clip. And this is my clipper that I love to use. And what I am using this for is to gain some more headroom, so the mix can be louder, because if you know, drums take a lot of headroom. Up in the mix. here in this section, I believe I'm only taking about 3. Let's see how many are taken off. I don't think we're taking that much off. It may be maybe like a dB or so. I mean, I know if I mess around with this mix a little bit more, I could actually get a little bit more out of it. And because I know that I wasn't hitting the I think I was about 3 dB shy of the target I wanted to hit for the final mix, which is fine. I don't mind a little bit of dynamics, so I'm okay with that. But if I just wanted to get it louder, I would do it with this and then just kind of rebalance some instruments to get it just a little bit louder. And so that's all I'm really doing here on that plugin. All right, so what am I doing on the individual drums? I got a little bit of reverb going. I think I just want to make it a little bit sharper. And I could have used a transit designer, but for some reason, when I mixed it, I actually went with this plugin. So I think that's really all I'm doing with that plugin there. A little bit more K-clip. I think this is really where a lot of the heavy lifting is being done, because here it says I'm clipping almost 10 dB. And let's see, yeah, almost 10 dB of clipping on this track. So I think that's why on the bus, on the drum mix bus, it's not doing much, because I'm doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the actual kick drum track. And here I'm using a plugin called I'll probably say this plugin has become one of my favorite plugins. I want to say within the last maybe month and a half. Excuse me. I want to say maybe within the last month and a half. But I don't think I'm really doing much here. I think it's adding just a tiny bit of bottom end on the track, but I'm not really doing any shaping, because I think originally, before I did the trick I'm going to show you after I'm done with this track, is I think I tried to shape the 808, but it wasn't working, and I think I just left it on, because it's not really doing anything. This is default positions. There's nothing out of place or anything like that. Oh, you know what? I take that back. No, default, because this is there, but I believe that's default as well. So I'm actually not doing really anything on here, but it's a good plugin to use. It's a really good plugin to use to help you shape your drums. And same here. I think I'm not doing anything on the Q3 either. I think it's been that long, guys. All right, so this is where the magic happens. And to all who knows, I'm a big fan of this trick. It is used and probably, I think maybe created by Jason Joshua. That's where I learned it from. I learned it from Jason Joshua. Jason, he showed this trick. I believe it was maybe mixed with the Masters, or maybe something on YouTube of some sort. And he showed this plugin. I'm sorry, not a plugin. He showed his way that he get the 808 and the kick to marry each other. So this is the trick. The trick is to dip down the 808 when the kick hits, so you can actually hear the transient of the kick, but it's not fighting with the 808. So you get them to work and to become one, because a lot of times the 808 has its own transient on there. And so some people like that sound. Some people do not have a kick in their track. They only have an 808. And so, but however, most of the time it's not a very strong transient information that comes with the 808 sound. I mean, there's some VSTs that come with the presets that have an 808 and it has a sharp transient on it. But that's more of a newer thing that's been happening. But most of them don't have that sharp attack, and you get that from the kick. But sometimes on the low end, they can really start to fight with each other, and it starts to sound very muddy on the low end, and especially once you start hitting below, well, like around 80 hertz and below, you'll start hearing that rumble and mushiness really around there. And so for everybody who's out there producing, this is a great trick. Those are mixing, this is a great trick. And to really test to see how your 808 and your kick are relating to each other, you really want to solo them or filter out your song and only listen to the low end. And you definitely gonna want to turn your volume up. You definitely gonna want to do that. And so turn it up, and then you can make adjustments there to where it doesn't sound so wobbly. You can decide what's going to take up the low. Either take up the low end. You can, okay, I want my kick to be prominent down there, or I want my 808 to be prominent down there. And for me, in my case, I prefer the kick to have more of the low end. On this track, it sounded correct to me. But that, again, that's a taste thing. That's a subject to your own taste buds. You know, everybody's palate is different, and the same thing in the case of mixing. If you had these raw tracks, you may want to, like, you know what, I really like the 808, or you know what, I replaced the kick because I think it sat better, and that's the beauty of mixing. It's subjective. It's art at the end of the day. And so, but in this case, I wanted to do that because I felt that it was definitely necessary, and I tend to do this a lot. I actually don't. I don't do this on every track, but I do this whenever I feel it necessary to do, and I felt it necessary to do on here. And so what I did was I just went through, and when the kick drum hits, I did a gain down. And another thing is, you want to play with the volume of this too. You want to play with the volume, because if you dip it too much, you'll start to hear a sidechain effect, and you may not like that sound. But as you probably want to turn it down just to give your kick enough room to breathe, but it doesn't have that sidechain effect. And so you just, when the kick hit, so here the kick hits here, right here's the kick, and then so I dip it down here, and then it comes up here. You can play with your slope, you can play with all different kind of stuff. So that's what I did. And the faster way to do it, when it's loop and you know it's the same pattern, you do one section and then you just cut and paste, and there you go. You just cut, paste. I think that's what I did. Yep. Yeah. So here's my loop here. And what I did was, I know it's the same, just cut and paste. I ain't got to do it no more. I do it I think I did 4 bars. After that, just cut and paste. And so that's what I did just for the kick and the 808. All right, so let's move on. Let's take a look at the claps. I have, oh no, I'm sorry. Let's go back. Nah, you know what? We'll go over the effects at another time. Okay, so I have two sounds here. I have this clap here, and I have this clap here. And that's pretty much what I have for the claps there. They're not perfectly lined up, which I absolutely love. I definitely want my stuff to have a human feel, so that's why I didn't perfectly line them up. And so there's nothing doing too much on here. I think I just panned it slightly, ever so slightly to the right, just to kind of just make the stereo information as centered as possible. And now I'm thinking about it, I could have just monoed it out and called it a day, because it's a stereo track. I probably even need it to be stereo. But anyway, so yeah, so that's track. And this sound actually has a tail end reverb, and that's what you heard in the mix. I'm sending that to the Vintage Verb by Valhalla, I believe, and I'm gonna go over that in another section. But it has a good amount of reverb. On it here, and I wanted to just accentuate the tail end of the clap, and I think it sounded nice. So next up we have the hi-hat. Not too much going on here. I didn't really do much. That was it. Just centered. And the only thing I'm doing here is have an auto panner. And this is Pancake 2. And I believe this is a free plugin. So you want to go check that out. I mean, there's different type of waveforms. You can do straight. You can do that. You can do that. And you have all different types of options that you have there. And so I'm going to go back into the default position, and I think I'm going for I think 2 bars syncing with the waveform, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just giving it movement. So that's the drums. That's the drums when I'm doing with the drums. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing with the drums. So let's move on to the percussion.
If you haven't joined our mailing list, please sign up, because we want to connect with you personally. You can do so very easily. It only takes a few seconds of your time to enter in your name, email address, and click sign up. It's that simple.
There's really not a whole lot going on the percussion. I have a shaker. Let me. And that's really it. That's really all it is for that track. And I do have the Dimension D. Yeah, this Dimension D is crazy. I put this on there just to kind of push it back and to give it some width. So let me disable this plugin, and then we'll hear with it enabled. So this is without it. and this is with it. For me, it just spreads it out a little bit, just so it covers more of the stereo image, and that's what I wanted to do. It felt so centered, and I didn't want it to really do and like really compete with the claps, because they're very close in frequency range, and I didn't want it to really compete. Like, this shaker has a lot of like 1 to 2K, and same thing with the hand claps, but I didn't want to EQ that out. I still wanted to be heard, and so I just decided to, let's kind of push it back, spread it out, just so the claps and could be more heard than the shaker, and they're not really competing as much. And this I have on some reverb, just a very simple reverb. That's all I have. That's where it's going, and I'll so this is without it. I'm sorry. There we go. And this is with it. There we go. I just wanted to give it some space. That's all I wanted to do there. Just wanted to give it some space. And so we have the next track I want to move to is this sound effect that I have here. And this is a sound effect. I'm going to bypass this plugin. And as you heard, there's already some reverb that is on it, and I wanted to accentuate that. So I pulled up a plugin, one of my favorite plugins for situations like these. And the reverb is called RAM. RAM is a really good plugin. And like I mentioned in one of my other videos, I actually did a whole video on, I think it's one of my useful plugin videos. And I think it's maybe like episode 6 or 7. It's one of those. And I went through the different parameters and why I love this plugin. But I used it here on this mix, and specifically on this sound effect, just to accentuate that reverb and to push it back as well. It sounds more of a thing, just to provide type of atmosphere type of situation. So here's with it. And as you see, the mix is about 67% out of 100. I'm sorry, it's 69%. 69%. And that is that. So let's move on to the next section. And so next we are going to go to the music. We're going to go to the music. And first I want to go to, because there's different parts in here. As you can see, there's this group, and then these two. All right, so let's do the synth sub mix. And I'm not doing any effects here, so we can push that down, but I am using this. And I did a little bit of sculpting, some high end, rolling off some high end. I did some mid frequency removal, and I am doing a lot of distortion as well as some saturation. Who doesn't love saturation or distortion? Hey, when it works, it works. That's one thing I'm learning. Some things may look wrong or sound wrong, but if it works, it works. And on this track, I'm actually using the compression over here. So if you watch this gain reduction meter, we'll see it lighting up. And I wanted to give it a little bit more grit. I wanted to give those synths a little bit more grit, just to make them sound a little bit grittier. And so that's why I have so much distortion and saturation over here. And then I wanted to marry the group together. So of course you can do it with compression. I just kind of turned the knob until it felt right to me, and I kept it there. So that's what I'm doing to combine all the synths. And so let's go down to the individual tracks and see what I did there. I'm going to move the playhead back a little bit. So that's what I'm doing there. So let's go through and check and see if I'm doing anything. Okay, so I'm on this track, on the first synth, on this one. I'm actually not doing anything to it. And one thing I do want to point out is, as you become a better mixing engineer, you'll realize sometimes you don't really need to do anything to a track. Sometimes it's just good as it is. But okay, sounds good. I don't want to touch it. Or sometimes you'll treat the track and it's still not there. And then when you bypass everything, you're like, oh, this actually sounds good as it is. Let's just get rid of all the plugins. In this track, and as well as Synth 2, I'm not doing anything, nothing at all. Nope, not doing anything there. And let's double check, see if there's any sends. Nope, no sends. So I'm not running this to any type of effects or parallel compression, nothing. And this track, I am doing something on. So let's take a look. And so I'm taking off some of the low end so it's not as bulky. So let's just bypass it. And this is with it, with a Pro Q on. So I just took down a lot of the low end. I took down a lot of the low end, just kind of control the bassiness of it, because I don't need it. I don't need it. And I took some of the high end over here, like starting around 11K, and rolled off some of the frequencies because I found that it was fighting with the strings, and more so of the hi-hat and the shaker. It was fighting with it. So it was a very bright sound. And when I took the high end off, I didn't want to dull it too much, but just taking it down a little bit, just kind of rolling some of it off. The hi-hat and the shaker came through more, and I kind of, which in terms, I pushed the gate back, just pushed it back a little bit, so it's not competing and with the top end information of where those instruments live. So that's what I did for that. And I don't think I'm doing anything. Yeah, I did go over that. So I'm not doing anything on that synth bus, and I'm doing very little on the actual individual tracks. And one thing I want to point out to all my producers out there is sound selection is very key. Sound selection is very key. If you can get a good a quality sounds to sound good together, or maybe not at even the same time, but throughout your arrangement, it'll get you at least 70% there. The mixing would be a piece of cake, and the mastering would be a piece of cake, because your sounds sound good already, and when you give them to your engineer, they don't really have to do much. So you can send them a mix today, and they can, hey, here's the final mix. And a few hours later or the next day, like, hey, here's the what I came up with, and let me know if you have any changes or whatever the case is. And so, but sound selection is really good. And I wanted to just say that to all the producers out there. So let's move on. Now we have this orc section. Here we are doing just a little bit more, and I want to solo these up. Sounds really good. So starting at number 1, we have some dips. We have this one rolling off some low end, and I'm taking out this frequency, because what all of those layer sounds, all of those layer sounds, there's going to be some build up, and it starts to sound very boomy and boxy. And when I found that frequency, I took a lot of it out. I'm probably taking out maybe 10 dB, maybe a little over 10, about 10 dB, because it started to get very boomy. And I'm giving it a little bit of lift here on 70K, and then kind of rolling it off so it's not, too bright, and it's not competing too much with the other top end percussion. Just to I wanted to open up the strings a little bit, just so they don't sound so muffled, just a little bit too, because actually removing the lower frequency, it by default makes it sound, it gives it a more high end sound, but I just wanted to give it a little bit more. I'm actually not even adding that much at the top end. I'm probably adding around a dB and a half, maybe, just to give it some more top end. So this is without the plugin, without the Pro Q3. And that doesn't sound bad by itself, but there's other elements that are going to need that. And I didn't want to completely just destroy it. Like, I could have just high passed it and be done with it. I still wanted it to be there. I just wanted to tame it. And if you notice, I do have the dynamic EQ function activated on the plugin. And this is with it. So as you saw, it's not completely taking out 10 dB the entire time, but sometimes it's taking out 5, sometimes 3, 6, because it's adapting to the material. So that's the first plugin in the chain. Then I'm just going to click here to the right, and here I'm giving it some more width. I'm giving it some more width, specifically even in this frequency range here. this frequency range here, I'm giving it some width. So this is without it. And this is what the plugin enabled. So this plugin by Acoustica is called Space Control. And what I'm doing with this plugin, I'm almost adding back a little bit of the frequency that I took away, because it's covering from 200 hertz to 1000 hertz. And it's spreading that the information left and right. So it's kind of bringing that back and pushing that information to the sides. Just wanted to give the strings a little bit more width, just to fill up the spectrum. And so, and I want to control the mid and the side section with this plugin, the mid-side matrix plugin here. And this plugin, so it's very simple. I actually have this in my excuse me, I have this in my mixing template. And the mixing template, it is used for widening something. If I wanted more width, just to kind of add more width to something, I parallel it to this plugin, and I just turn off this section here, just turn it off. But I have it here, and so what I'm doing, I'm taking 2.5 dB down. I'm attenuating the mid section a little bit, and then I'm boosting the sides just a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more, even a wider sound, by removing some of the mids. So this is before. This is with the plugin deactivated. And this is with it. And without it, it was decent. It's decent, but you can really hear the difference. It really moves things out to the sides, and that's what I wanted to do and give that feel to it. All right, so let's move on to the individual tracks. Oh no, you know what? There's one more plugin. I'm sorry, guys. And I don't think I'm doing anything with this plugin. I think I was going to use this plugin, but I end up not using it because I don't need it. I don't think I needed it. So yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any distortion. I'm actually not doing anything with this plugin. I think I put it there for when I was really using it. It came on my template as an option to use, and in this case, I think I just kept it on. Or maybe I tried it or something, but it's not doing anything. Anything that's major, maybe running through the plugin, there's probably something going on underneath the hood, and that's why I'm not turning it off, because I don't want to change the sound. And I could go back in and kind of play with it, but we don't want to do that today. And so, yeah, so again, nothing on the individual tracks themselves. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I don't believe there's any sends on any of them. Nope, no parallels. But I believe there is, let's go to, or I believe there's some reverb that is sending to, yes. So actually there's a few things. It's sending to some reverb here. It's sending to a 16th note delay and an 8th note delay. And I added those just to give it some width and some depth with that. So this is without the effects. And this is with them. Big difference. All right, so we covered those. And so now the last thing I want to cover are the effects that I'm using, all the reverbs and everything you heard, and everything I mentioned, the plugins that I'm using. I have this plugin up, but I don't believe I'm using this plugin at all. No, I'm actually not using this, but I wanted to use it, but it wasn't working for me. So I decided not to use it, but it's a good plugin. It really is. This is a good plugin. It's by T-Rex, as you see. You know, T-Rex, the Formstone Room plugin. It's a good plugin. And so let's move on to another T-Rex. I am using a tiny bit of this. I'm using this chamber. And yeah, so this is one of another plugins that I like to use. It's a good plugin, and just kind of turning it around. I mean, it's this little cool feature to have, a little visual thing. I'm using Studio One, no pun intended. But like I said before, I'm using a chamber, and I took the dry down because I'm using this on the send, so the dry is down and it's 100% wet. I'm using a little bit of pre-delay, just 20 milliseconds. That's all I'm doing there, and I think that's it. I think I turned this up to 100. I believe the default. Let me see what the default is. This might be the default, but I believe I turned this up though. Yeah. So that's what I'm using for that. It's the sunset one, and we're going to go down to the next one. This is the spring reverb that I'm using. Is completely mono because I didn't want to smear a lot of the stereo image. So what I did was I monoed this one out, and then I spread it this one out, just so they're not competing on the sides, and it sounded a little bit more cohesive that way. So this is, like I said, I have it in mono, not too long of a decay, and I kind of adjusted this preset here and just kept it like that. So that's really all I'm doing for the spring reverb. And so let's go move to the delays. And I always use this plugin for my delays. It's Repeater. I actually came across this plugin, I want to say maybe like a year and a half ago. And I tried it out. I believe I saw the first person who put me onto this through a YouTube tutorial was Matthew Weiss. He's on YouTube. He has a great content. You want to go check him out. His name is Matthew Weiss. And I just love it. I love this plugin. It's so versatile. I mean, you can have it has different delay models here. And it has a lot of presets. And man, it has a lot of presets. And I love it has ping pong type of spread. You can use your analog, which I have enabled. You have your color, which is like distortion to the delay. And like I said, I have it on the 16th note, and they're both linked. They're doing the same thing. If you want to get creative, you can unlink them and just kind of do different stuff with these and all the good stuff. So that's pretty much that for that. And I have them going into this because another secret that I learned, and I learned this one a while ago. To push back your delay so they're not so prominent in the mix, you want to send them to a reverb because it softens them and pushes them back in the mix. So they're more felt than they are heard. I mean, unless you wanted to do like some type of special throw, then that's when you want to you can automate the sends, or you can just set up a different reverb for delay for that specific thing. And so I made it a habit in my mixing template. It automatically goes to the reverb that I choose. In this case, I wanted to send it to the chamber. And I have 2 here because, oddly enough, it's almost like stacking compressors on the vocal. You can take off 8-10 dB with one plugin, but it sounds so much better when you have 2 instances of a plugin that are doing the gain reduction. Some is doing the lifting, and then the other is doing the remaining half of the listing. I'm sorry, the listing. Jesus. All right, the one is doing one part of the lifting, and the other is doing the other part of the lifting. And for this, I don't know, it just worked for me, and I just keep it in my template. And so, last but not least, we are going to cover again. I have the same settings, but this time we're doing an 1/8 delay on that with yes, I believe that everything is the same except for the timing of it. And that's pretty much it. So that is it. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? That's not it. There's actually more, and there's more. And so just quickly, I want to go over these 2 that I'm doing here. So this is the bell sound that I have. So this is with no plugins. And this is with the treatment on it. And I did that. I really love the tail end of that. I did it because it's naturally I don't know what plugin I used when I was making the beat, but it sounded good in production, but while I was mixing it was too transient. And I'm like, well, let me push it back a little bit. Just, it's there, but it's not gone. So first in the chain, we have the reverb. I'm sorry, not a reverb. This is an EQ, Motown EQ. And this is by Noise Ash. It is the Motown Pro EQ. And I'm just doing some 320 here on EQ, just to give it a little bit more body. And I'm brightening it up as well on a 12.5K. And that's all I'm doing. And I didn't touch the nuance deviation, which is the harmonics that is generating. So that's all I did there. Just added a little bit of that frequency range at 320 and some top end at 12.5K. And of course, I took it down about 5 dB just so it wasn't so loud, especially going into the next plugin. So the next plugin that's really getting that type of that tail end sound is Shimmer by Valhalla. I love this plug. This is one of the This is one of the plugins that I really enjoy using to add tails to and to get it to shimmer. Like, I love this on chimes. I really love this on chimes. It just adds a sparkle to it. Here, I'm going to play. So this is without Valhalla shimmer. And it doesn't sound bad at all. But I just wanted to give it a little something it kind of pushes it back, and it just adds that tail end that I tend to love. So this is with Valhalla shimmer. And that's what you get. You get that tail end. I just love it. I love that type of sound for it. And the last plugin that we're going to look at is more mid-side control. So on the mids, I'm actually taking down 7 dB on the mids, and on the highs, I'm adding 6.5 dB. So this is without the mid-side matrix plugin. And this is with it. It pushes it back and it makes it wider, and I just love it. I really love the way it sounds and how it came out. And the last thing that I'm going to go over is the lead, and I put this on the chorus section here, and here I'm not doing too much. I have actually just one plugin. That's it. I have the Pro Q3 on it, and it's doing some reduction by way of the dynamic EQ control around 500. And so this is what I'm reducing. So this is without it in the full frequency range of the sound. This is without the Pro Q3 engaged. And so I think my wife wanted me for something, but I'm almost done. Thanks for hanging in there with me. If you're still here, thank you so much for hanging in there. I think this may be one of the longest videos I have on the channel. But I wanted to take my time and just really show you guys what I did. Just to give you an inside scoop of everything. So this is with the plugin engaged. Because I love the warmth of it, I just wanted to bring it down a little bit. I didn't want to eliminate it, but I just wanted to bring it down just a little bit. And I'm sending this to the 16th note delay. That's what I'm sending it to. And I love a delay on leads. It sounds really, really pleasing to me. And so I sent that there because there's only a few items that are actually going to the delays and things of that nature. It's not really using a whole lot of stuff. A lot of tracks are really going there. Just maybe 2 to 3 tops throughout the arrangement. So we got everything. I got everything. Just taking the last look at my notes, making sure I don't miss anything I wanted to cover for you guys. And so we are good. So that wraps up today's the video. Yeah, this is everything that I wanted to cover for you guys. Yeah, so that's it. The drums, everything I went over with the drums, from the Jason Joshua trick to pushing things back and making things sound a little bit more spacious, to the string section and the grit we added there to the synths, and that's it. So I'm going to end this video here. I want to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I say this a lot, but you guys could have been anywhere else, but you guys decided to stick it out with me. And I hope you learned something new. Hopefully there's something that you saw that you can even add to your productions, or even take it to another level. You can be like, oh, I saw what he did. I saw what Marcel did. But if I did this, you can really, make it your own. So hopefully something that you can just take, make it your own and apply it to your own mixes and productions. So I'll see you all in the next one. Oh, again, I want to let everybody know that we have a free audio devotional for you guys for download. The link is in the description, so please check that out. It's in the description. And in there, I do discuss monoing out your bass and your kick as far as your whole mix, and as well as additional tips. Is a 20-day devotional that's in there. And so yeah, you just enter your name, your email, and you're good to go. So again, thank you for hanging out, and I'll see everybody in the next one. Until then, keep mixing, and we're all going to learn and grow together.
If you like and enjoy our content, please share, follow, and subscribe. We are on social media platforms such as YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, and others. The sign-up link, our social media links, as well as other valuable information can be found in the description.